I want you to picture the tactical layout for tomorrow's 2026 World Cup final. Just imagine the scene at the New York, New Jersey stadium.
Oh, it is going to be massive.
Right. On one side, you have Argentina, and they are marshaled by this veteran core dictating the tempo, really just relying on decades of accumulated footballing intelligence.
The seasoned architects of the game.
Exactly. And then on the other side, you have Spain, and they are defined by this, ruthless, high-pressing, explosive youth movement operating on the flanks. It's honestly the ultimate clash of generations and tactical philosophies.
It really is. I mean, it's the matchup every football analyst has been breaking down for weeks now. You've got the veterans facing off against the exact players who are, actively redefining how the game is played at the highest level.
Yeah, but intertwined with all that tactical analysis is this photograph. And it has completely hijacked the global conversation. If you've looked at a screen in the last 48 hours, you've seen it.
Oh, absolutely. You can't escape it.
It's this image from almost 2 decades ago, taken in late 2007. And it features a 20-year-old Lionel Messi in a really simple studio setting, giving a bath to an infant in this cheap blue plastic tub.
Yeah, a literal plastic tub.
Right. And that baby, as the whole world now knows, is Lamine Yamal, the very player who is now the engine for Spain's attack, and honestly, the primary tactical threat to Argentina's defense tomorrow.
Which just forces you to confront the sheer statistical absurdity to the situation. I mean, out of the millions of infants in Catalonia in 2007, the one place in that plastic tub with Lionel Messi
happens to be him.
Yeah, happens to grow up to be the generational talent tasked with dethroning him on the world's biggest stage. It's wild.
It is wild. It's the kind of narrative symmetry that feels, entirely fictional. So for you listening today, the mission of this deep dive is to really look past the initial shock value of that viral image.
Right, because there's so much more there.
Exactly. We are going to unpack the actual mechanics of how this 2007 photo came to be. We are going to examine the localized humanitarian infrastructure built by UNICEF and the FC Barcelona Foundation that made it possible.
Which is a huge piece of this puzzle.
And we're going to explore how the compounding interest of social investment in marginalized communities creates these lifelong structural links between the global icons of today and tomorrow.
Because when you dig into the source material surrounding this image, the most compelling part isn't actually the coincidence. No, it is the systemic, deliberate effort to bridge the gap between global sporting institutions and vulnerable local populations.
So to understand the mechanics of that effort, we kind of have to look at this socio-political climate of Catalonia in late 2007. The FC Barcelona Foundation and UNICEF had just recently forged a partnership, and they were putting together a charity calendar for 2008.
Right, and they were utilizing the most valuable commodity they had, which was access to their first team squad.
Yeah, we are talking about players at the absolute peak of their global influence. Ronaldinho, Xavi Hernandez, Carlos Puyol, Samuel Eto'o.
Right.
Just heavyweights.
Total heavyweights. And the underlying strategy was to pair one of these internationally recognized athletes with a child from the Catalonia region for each month of the year. So the calendar basically served as a localized extension of a much larger global initiative.
But the selection process for the children is where the logistics get really interesting to me, because they didn't use child modeling agencies or anything.
No, they didn't.
They utilized a UNICEF lottery system designed specifically for families in the region. Lamine Yamal's family, who were living in the Mataró neighborhood of Barcelona, which is a working class area, they entered this draw and miraculously won the slot for the January page.
Pairing their baby with a young Messi.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. Because if you look at the mechanics of this lottery, it's like buying a random raffle ticket at a local bake sale, right?
Yeah.
You do it just to support the community, and then you realize years later that the prize was a masterclass in destiny with the future greatest player of all time. It's just mind-blowing.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. You are literally tracking the flow of opportunity from a local draw. But, executing that intervention in this studio presented an entirely different set of logistical challenges.
Oh, I bet.
If you read the accounts of the photographer, Joan Montfort, he was dealing with a really highly precarious environment.
Yeah, I was looking at the behind-the-scenes details of that shoot, and Montfort was dealing with a 20-year-old Messi who, well, as anyone following his early career knows, communicated almost entirely through his football.
Right, he was incredibly shy.
Super introverted. So asking him to project natural, relaxed warmth toward a stranger's infant in a sterile, brightly lit photography studio, That is a massive psychological ask for a guy like that.
It is a super high-friction environment. Montfort actually noted that Messi walked into the studio and was visibly uncomfortable.
I can imagine.
He didn't know how to hold the baby. He didn't know where to look. And the infant was naturally picking up on that tension. When a subject is hyper-aware of the camera, the photograph always feels clinical.
Yeah.
So Montfort had to find a way to shift Messi's cognitive load away from the act of being photographed.
The solution was incredibly pragmatic. He just went out, found a cheap blue plastic tub, and filled it with water.
Which is honestly a masterstroke in portrait photography.
Yeah.
By introducing the water and the physical task of bathing the child.
With the help of Yamal's mother, right?
Yes, with her help.
But
Montfort broke the psychological tension. What's fascinating here is how that simple mechanical distraction accidentally generated a piece of modern mythology.
wow, yeah.
By giving the athlete a physical action to focus on, the anxiety just dissolved. Messi started splashing the water, the baby started smiling, and the camera captured this really authentic moment of nurturing. The physical act of cleansing and caring for an infant carries immense symbolic weight, creating this completely unintended imagery of passing the torch.
It completely transformed the dynamic of the image. But, I have to play devil's advocate here. Because I look at campaigns like this, the calendar, the photo ops, the carefully curated behind-the-scenes narratives, and my immediate reaction is usually a bit of cynicism on behalf of the listener.
Sure, that makes sense.
Because we see these wealthy athlete holds a baby initiatives all the time in modern sports. It is very easy to view this as standard reputation laundering or corporate PR for a massive football club. Does a localized calendar project actually move the needle financially and systemically for marginalized children?
That skepticism is entirely warranted, especially in today's sports marketing landscape, where philanthropy is unfortunately often used as a shield.
Exactly.
But to understand why this was different, you have to look at the macroeconomic context of the FC Barcelona and UNICEF partnership at that time. If we connect this to the bigger picture,
Right.
we need to analyze how cultural capital was actually being deployed.
You are referring to the shirt sponsorship dynamic.
Yes. So, in the mid-2000s, European football clubs were signing massive, multi-million-dollar deals to put corporate logos on the front of their shirts. It is the primary way a club monetizes its cultural capital.
Right, selling that emotional connection to an airline or a telecom company.
Exactly. But Barcelona deliberately inverted that model. In 2006, they signed a landmark agreement where they refused corporate money. And instead, the club actually paid UNICEF €1.5 million a year for the privilege of putting the UNICEF logo on their match shirts.
They were essentially weaponizing their own global popularity, like taking the immense commercial value of that stadium real estate and donating it wholesale to a humanitarian organization.
Exactly. It disrupted the entire sports marketing industry.
Yeah.
So when we look at the 2008 charity calendar featuring Messi and Yamal, we cannot view it in isolation as just a simple PR stunt.
It was part of a bigger machine.
Yes, it was a micro expression of a macro strategy. The funds raised from localized initiatives like the calendar were funneled directly into this massive pre-existing UNICEF infrastructure. As Montfort the photographer said, the goal was to give visibility to social problems and radiate humanity.
Which means the visibility actually translated into structural support. The money was being routed into concrete interventions. We're talking educational resources, specialized healthcare, and community support systems for vulnerable families in Catalonia and internationally.
Right.
The calendar was just the localized human face of a much larger engine of capital redistribution.
And that partnership established a pipeline. It took the attention generated by the world's most famous athletes and converted it directly into resources for neighborhoods like Mataró and Rocafonda, where Yamal actually grew up. It validated the existence and the struggles of those communities on a global stage.
And looking at the source material, what really stands out is that this philosophy of capital redistribution didn't just end when the calendar went out of print. The connection between these specific players and global humanitarian work deepened significantly over the next 15 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the photo shoot wasn't just a one-off obligation for Messi.
Far from it. That era of Barcelona's institutional commitment to UNICEF seemed to fundamentally shape how their athletes viewed their own platforms. By 2010, so 3 years after the bathtub photo was taken, Lionel Messi was officially appointed as a UNICEF Global Goodwill Ambassador.
And from a structural standpoint, an ambassadorship at that level requires a serious logistical apparatus. It isn't just, showing up to a gala once a year in a tuxedo.
No, not at all.
He established the Leo Messi Foundation, which acts as this highly strategic funding mechanism. Instead of trying to build a completely separate charity from scratch, which is where a lot of celebrity philanthropy fails due to high overhead, his foundation partners directly with established NGOs.
They leverage existing distribution networks, which is so smart.
Precisely. They are funding massive localized projects. They're building fully equipped classrooms for children affected by the conflict in Syria, financing specialized pediatric oncology units in hospitals in Argentina, and providing vital nutritional support for underprivileged communities globally.
Yeah.
The foundation acts as an amplification engine for on-the-ground interventions.
Because he internalized the lesson of that 2006 to 2011 Barcelona era. He recognized that his athletic profile granted him unprecedented global leverage, and he built an infrastructure to utilize that leverage systematically. And the result is a measurable, multi-generational impact on thousands of families.
Which brings us to the most compelling part of this entire narrative. Here's where it gets really interesting, because we have to analyze Lamine Yamal's trajectory.
Yeah, let's look at him now.
Right. He is no longer the infant in the plastic tub. He is a primary star for Barcelona and Spain. And with his current platform, he is actively participating in those exact same UNICEF campaigns. He is focusing his time and resources on the welfare of marginalized children, deliberately shining a light on the working class communities he came from.
The structural symmetry is just remarkable. You have a player who is the literal beneficiary of a localized UNICEF outreach program as an infant,
who has now grown up to become a benefactor and a champion for those identical global children's programs.
Exactly. This raises an important question regarding how we cultivate leadership in sports. When a young athlete grows up within an ecosystem that normalizes structural philanthropy, right? When they know their own family participated in and benefited from community outreach, it fundamentally rewrites their understanding of what an athlete is supposed to do.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yamal doesn't need media training to understand the value of giving back. That ethos is deeply embedded in his foundational narrative. It demonstrates that these humanitarian campaigns do much more than provide immediate material relief.
Right. They psychologically empower the beneficiaries to become the stewards of the next generation. They plant a seed in the ecosystem, and 20 years later, that seed is oxygenating the entire environment.
Beautifully put.
And that generational stewardship is going to be on full display tomorrow night at the World Cup final.
It is the ultimate manifestation of this entire cycle.
Tactically and narratively, it is incredible. I mean, you track the evolution of Messi from that 20-year-old rising star, heavily reliant on his explosive pace, to the seasoned, deep-lying playmaker we will see tomorrow. A global ambassador seeking to cement his legacy in what is, let's face it, likely his final major tournament.
Right. And countering him is Yamal, the baby model from the 2008 calendar, who is now the tactical nightmare driving the Spanish system. He's the one providing the explosive pace, the high pressing, and the wit that stretches defenses to their breaking point. The infant being nurtured in that studio has become the very force that the veteran must somehow neutralize to win the World Cup.
They are forever linked by a pragmatic photography decision involving a blue plastic tub, and now they occupy opposing halves of the pitch in the most important match of their lives.
It's poetry.
It really is. But for you listening, I really want you to consider the broader implications for the global youth watching this match tomorrow. We frequently discuss the importance of representation and inspiration in sports, often in very abstract terms.
But this matchup provides a concrete, undeniable proof of concept. When a child from a struggling neighborhood in Catalonia or Buenos Aires or anywhere else in the world watches Yamal take on Messi tomorrow, they are witnessing the tangible results of community investment.
Absolutely.
They're seeing a player whose family required the visibility and support of a local outreach program, now commanding the attention of a global audience of billions.
It completely validates the fundamental premise of the FC Barcelona and UNICEF partnership. It proves that allocating capital and visibility to marginalized communities is not simply like a charitable write-off. It is a direct investment in the upper limits of human potential.
Because the long-term effects of these social campaigns are notoriously difficult to quantify in the short term. You cannot measure the impact of a 2007 charity calendar in 2008.
Right, it
requires decades of compounding interest. But tomorrow night, the return on that social investment is literally running onto the pitch in a World Cup final.
So, what does this all mean? We started this deep dive to figure out why this specific photograph has resonated so profoundly across the globe. And the answer is that the image is merely the surface layer of a much deeper infrastructural success story. It is a testament to the highly disruptive sports marketing strategies of the mid-2000s, the localized humanitarian efforts of UNICEF, and the genuine, highly structured philanthropic networks built by athletes off the pitch. Above all, it highlights how the mechanics of global sports can occasionally align to produce a narrative of breathtaking, unpredictable symmetry.
It reinforces the reality that the cultural footprint an athlete leaves within their community often carries far more structural weight than the tactical brilliance they display on the field.
And as you gear up for the tactical chess match that is the final tomorrow, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over. We have just meticulously traced how a random, localized charity lottery from nearly 20 years ago casually placed the defining player of one generation in a room with the exact player destined to challenge him for global supremacy 2 decades later.
Yeah.
As you navigate your own day, interacting with people in your community, funding local initiatives, or just offering a moment of support, how many other seemingly insignificant everyday investments in the people around you are secretly shaping the history of tomorrow?